My kind of peeps.
All right. Once upon a time in a land far away, there lived a king named Bill Hampstead.
Shit.
He ruled by example. We never went thirsty, and we all had toys to play with. God bless.
I love how you have this title as Bill No T. Baggins. That is, open that up and was laughing my ass off. So thank you.
Just for you, buddy.
I figured as much.
Just for my boy. All right, let's do this. You guys ready? Hey, lead heads. We are back with another episode of the Talking Lead Podcast. Coming at you from the lead quarters. And we've got a great show lined up for you today. We will be continuing our interviews from the 2021 Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association National Convention in Rhode Island. We dropped part one of that a couple of episodes back, so make sure you go check that out. We had Jean, I'm going to mess her name up, Kanakogi on. She is a doctor, and she represents FLEOA, and she's also a pretty interesting cat. She's got some. Did she write the book, or was it her mom that wrote the book?
Both.
It
was her mom's memoirs, and she wrote the epilogue.
Yeah. So make sure you go back, check that episode out. We had Tony
Vernetti.
No, I was going to say Tony Fresh. I've been calling him Tony Fresh. Tony Vernetti with Feds, and all these interviews were brought to you, were made possible by Feds Protection. And we had Tony on. He's the owner of Feds. And then we had some of our interviews tied in with that with some of the vendors that were there, which what we're going to tie in with this show. We're going to have Toor Knives. Brooksy, you guys know Brooksy, formerly with Buck Knives. He's with Toor Knives now. So we've got his first interview with Toor. We've got Geissele Automatics that's going to be on this episode. We've got Inforce. We've got Invisio. And what was the other one, Bill?
Daniel Defense.
And Daniel Defense. I'm going to tie all those in with this episode. But before we do that, I want to introduce our guest that we have. And you just heard a familiar voice. That's Bill T. Baggins, our good buddy Bill Hampstead, joining us. It's been a minute since he's been on. So welcome in, Bill.
Thanks, buddy. It has been. Happy to be back.
Yeah, so you've been busy, been blowing and going. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then we got a new guy. I don't think you've ever been on the show before, have you, John?
Nah, maiden voyage.
Maiden voyage. So, Bill, I'm going to let you introduce our new guest.
Hello, everyone. Please welcome in John Adler, president of the FLEOA Foundation, former director of Bureau of Justice Administration, and longtime brother and close friend. So welcome in, John.
Thanks, Bill.
And a fellow lead head, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
John lives the lead head lifestyle. He wears the shirts, drinks from the mugs, and he preaches what we talk about here on the show. So, John, welcome in. It's a pleasure having you on, sir.
Thank you, Marty. And just adding to my fictional resume, also served 26 years in law enforcement and was the chief firearms training instructor and all that fun hand-to-hand shooting stuff, lead stuff for the United States Attorney's Office in the Sovereign District of New York for many years. So you're absolutely right. Lead is a comfort zone for me.
Very good. Very good. We're going to do our jackwagon train here in a minute. Going back to last episode, we had Rennell Franklin with Lockdown on, and during a jackwagon train, I had made mention of a post that from our first episode of the FLEOA conference had gotten a negative comment, negative feedback. And I think once you hear about these guys and their stance on firearms, it's going to change your mind on your opinion of federal officers, federal law enforcement. So let's get into this. Before we do our jackwagon train, let's talk about the conference, Bill. This is the fourth one I've been to, I do believe.
I believe so. Yeah, you've been coming to all of them consistently for a while here, man.
Yeah, it's always a good time, and the cats that we meet there from all the different law enforcement agencies, are just really welcoming, and they've got great stories, and I love it when they're able to share those stories. Not all of them are able to share some of those stories, but when we do have them on, it's great to do that. Unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of those stories this time, so maybe we can remedy that in some upcoming episodes and get some of those cats on. But Tony had some pretty good stories about his time when he was back with the ATF. He had some pretty cool ATF stories that he was telling about.
Yeah, I'm sure they were fast and furious.
there were.
Sorry. Couldn't resist. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, he was telling about some of his Fast and Furious cases. So pretty interesting.
Fast and furious, but spurious.
So, Bill, talk about the conference. What you guys do there, just kind of in a nutshell, what it's all about.
Well, it's mainly a working conference, and some training aspects are worked in. This was the first one where training was actually part of it through Larry Cosme's 111 project, which is jiu-jitsu. So there was that part going on, and then a lot of training on mental health and awareness and suicide prevention and just well-being overall. So that was day one, and then it kind of bled over into day two. But mainly, once a convention gets going, it's a working convention where we're dealing with issues with the bylaws and constitution, maybe some member voting. Sorry, Department of Labor is calling me, but I'll deal with Jimmy later.
Hey, I think you dropped something. I think you dropped something there, Bill.
What's that?
You dropping names. You name dropping it.
Oops.
Oh,
sorry.
the DOJ is calling me there. Oh, I'll get back to them later. That's just the president. I'll get back to him later.
Nah.
He's taking a nap. Leave him alone.
No. So
you said the mental health was a big focus on this year's convention, which last episode we made a big announcement, which is one of the reasons why we had Gene on, was that the House bill, or the Senate passed a bill, the S-1502 COPS, which is the Confidentiality Opportunities for Peer Support Counseling Act, which it goes a long way in encouraging our law enforcement, especially our federal law enforcement men and women, to seek the help that they need. So go back to that episode. We talk more about it. But, yeah, so it was a very good focused conference, I believe, this year. Seems like everybody enjoyed it, had a good time. John, talk about, for our new listeners and who aren't familiar with FLEOA, what the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association was organized for.
Back in 1977, pre-millennial times, the organization was formed to defend the rights of the workforce, federal law enforcement workforce, who were coming under unjust investigations. One in particular, the Weatherman case, going back to the 70s, where back then the administration and the politicians, surprise, surprise, were trying to alibi their failures of crime control and redirect it to the rank and file workforce. So FLEOA formed for the purpose of getting legal representation immediately available for the rank and file in the event they come under investigation, in the event they're involved in a shooting and they're immediately crucified for use of ungodly force from the perspective of the critics and politicians. And then also there's obviously the camaraderie component as well. So from 1978 to the present, the organization went from 12 guys in a bar with a good idea to get a lawyer involved to professional association that Bill serves on the board with, of about 30,000 members. And the membership comes from 65 different federal agencies. You know, they're from the well-known ones to the less well-known ones. And FLEOA, as I'm sure you've probably heard from other guests, nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. So, you know, and just I'll put a footnote there for a moment. In terms of comments on gun-related issues, I know it's difficult for the current board to give or express their opinion because they're representing everyone. Whereas in my current position, I'm retired, and I am the president of the FLEOA Foundation, which is the charitable arm of FLEOA. So I have a little bit more leeway than Brother Bill to express my views as opposed to the neutral views. But in any event, great organization, does a lot of good on Capitol Hill, fighting for the rank and file, protecting their pay and benefits, dealing with officer safety issues. Brother Bill mentioned suicide prevention and awareness. You know, I'm all about smash stigma and save lives, and dealing with, some of these post-traumatic stress injuries that are really impacting both our veterans, active duty service, and law enforcement personnel as well.
Very good. Very well said. So FLEOA, the website is FLEOA.org is where they can go for the organization. And then the foundation has a separate website itself, right?
That is correct. Yeah, you can link to the foundation from the FLEOA homepage or FLEOAfoundation.org. So either way, you can access it.
Very good. Very good. So you lead heads, if you're not following them. I believe you guys are on social media too, under FLEOA, Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, something along those lines. I don't know.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. You'll see that logo on there, and you should know that you're in the right place. So the S-1502 Cops Counseling Act generally it prohibits the disclosure of the contents of a peer support communication, and we talked about what that is with Gene. But just the whole stigma. You're talking about the stigma that goes along with the mentality, the persona of a federal law enforcement officer, just a law enforcement officer itself. They can't be weak. They're not supposed to show weakness or signs of weakness. And what's great about these peer support communication networks that they've got set up within their departments is that it's an actual colleague that helps them, and they open up to this colleague about what their issues might be. And I guess in the past, what the issue was when they did that, I guess that they had to report these to the higher ups or whatnot, and then they're worried about that going on their permanent record and the ramifications of that. So, whether it's time off or, losing their badge or, whatever it may be, I guess that was probably one of the big fears that they have about coming forward with, any sort of personal issue or, I'll put finger quotes up there, mental issues that they might have. And this bill is supposedly supposed to make them feel more comfortable, more safe, more secure in being able to do that. Does that sum it up pretty good, or did I just miss it completely?
It does, Marty. The bill, and God bless Gene, Dr. Gene Kanakogi, for authoring a good part of that bill. It requires agencies to structure a program and appoint someone to oversee this. So it's not just barroom talk. It's actually a real thing. And Marty, you hit on it, with perfection in terms of what the prior problem or has been. Lack of two things: confidentiality and lack of credibility. The government has this employee assistance program staffed by well-intended counselors, but it's kind of hard to go pour your heart out to someone about your post-traumatic bombs when they've never experienced it other than maybe what Hollywood delivered on their TV. So nothing to them personally, but the credibility was lacking. And then the other piece you hit on perfectly is lack of confidentiality. You're not going to open up if you're going to be put on what's called the rubber gun squad and treated like you're a broken toy. You're not going to say anything. So we've become a little bit more enlightened in this life, and certainly on the military front, and then slowly trickling into law enforcement. People get banged up, and you have a sequence of what we call post-traumatic stress injuries. It's not a disorder. Got to get rid of that D. That D is a bunch of bullshit. Those are injuries and not a disorder. And you get banged up, and at some point, we all have a dam inside our mind or inside our skull. That dam builds up, or the pressure builds up, it pushes on the dam, and then who knows? One person may break, another one may leak, and another one may hold strong. But the point is, when you accumulate these psychological stress injuries, you should have access to help you build back and get better again. And the truth of the matter is, Anyone who is going for their therapy, if they're scripted anything, they're taking their meds, can be certified as fit for duty. And, we had a forum over this. When I was running BJA, we held numerous forums on suicide prevention. And I had the think tanks, one from Columbia University, and we had the chiefs in the room. And the think tanks, if you will, did agree that if you have someone, again, who is diagnosed with PTS and they're going for their treatment, they can be certified as fit for duty. And that seemed maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or longer, an impossibility. You were burnt toast, you were done. Mm-hmm. And now we're trying to move past that. And as I said, smash the shit out of stigma, save lives, because good folks get banged up and they shouldn't be left out to rot.
Absolutely. Well said. So, Bill.
Yes, sir.
You and I have a trip coming up this week.
Yes, we do.
And we're going to talk about that here in just a minute.
All right.
But first, what we want to do, because I think I got John fired up here. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Gunny bring in that jackwagon train. So Gunny bring in that train, and we're gonna take care of some jackwagons.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the talking lead jackwagon of the week, so brace yourself, baby.
All right, the train has stationed, and we've got some jackwagons we need to take care of. John, in particular, has some that he wants to talk about. Let's bring up this first one because this was on our last episode, and it's the you mentioned Hollywood earlier about the stigma that they have with with the firearms and whatnot in the movies. This is the Alec Baldwin shooting on the set of Rust, and I didn't really specify a jackwagon last week, but because it was kind of all encompassing. And Renell and I think, did a really good job on talking about this jackwagon, but I want to get John's take on it as well. So, John, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and let's get your opinion on this shooting here, this murder that happened on set. Although it supposedly accidental, we don't know yet.
Yeah. No, it was actually a homicide of decency as well as a precious human being who should not have been killed. And God bless her, may she rest in heavenly peace. As for the cast of hypocrites who are first to condemn, now they find themselves in the spotlight. And, Marty, it's incredibly disconcerting to hear the sequence of alibis, the wave after wave of bullshit that they
yes.
keep serving up to try to mitigate this tragedy. And, it's amazing. For example, and I apologize to your viewers, your guests, if this is sort of repeating what a prior guest has said.
No, that's fine. We always like to get different opinions, so absolutely.
Well, one of the things that jumped out at me, and reading about it and or watching it on the news is nauseating, but one of the things that jumped out at me was one of the lame justifications for sort of commingling, well, not commingling, but that's what they did, but having live ammo on the set was that they needed to warm up the weapons. They needed to warm them up. And I don't know. I mean, I was a firearms knucklehead training folks for a good number of years, and started with revolvers and worked our way up to semi-automatic pistols and so forth. I don't recall there being a carburetor on any of those guns. So, like, this whole concept of warming shit up boggles the mind. And then also, I know everyone seems to be focusing on the live ammo mixed with the training or the dummy rounds. And I'm not going to speak on that because that's just screaming obvious and everyone should get it. But, and unfortunately, even in our profession, we have accidental discharges for that careless reason. But let's talk about where to safely point a firearm. Like, all those rules that every firearms range has. It's like point it in a safe direction or up the crack of your ass, but don't point it at another human being. Well, these celebrities, they're higher than God. So God forbid they were subject to the same firearm commandments that we all abide by and respect. So, granted, live rounds, dummy rounds, he shouldn't have been playing cops and robbers pointing his weapon at the cinematographer. I mean, you could have a designated safe area. If he needs to get into character, he could have done that in a safe area where, God forbid, there was a round in there, however it got there, by an act of magic nature or stupidity. At least the round would have been discharged and there would have been no casualties. So let's just start with the starting point of where we point a firearm. I mean, I guess maybe we're a little nutty in the head. I don't even like to go in the bathroom and sit on a throne and see a nozzle from a deodorant spray facing at me. It bothers me. I mean, if you like looking down the barrel of a weapon, you've got a defect. And because someone like Baldwin or anyone else, highfalutin celebrity actor types who have to get pampered on set, does not give them the right to point anything that has the potential of discharging harm or death to an individual. And yeah, I mean, it boggles the mind. And the other thing also, as again, everyone probably knows, the technology is so far advanced that they don't even need to do that anymore. I mean, Marty, you understand this stuff, and Brother Bill, I'm a crayon and paper bag guy, but technology allows them to just handle all these firearm scenarios or scenes without actually having a weapon discharging on set. So it negates that type of scenario. But then again, they want to feel macho as they criticize the rest of us who carried or do carry firearms for a living to keep them safe. We're a bunch of savages, but they can go on set and discard the firearm commandments and kill a human being because they're a different breed of humanoid.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I'm so glad. I wish I'd have got you on last episode to do this, but it's really good to get a different point of view, especially, from somebody with your background and your experience to talk about this. And I don't think anybody could have said that better. But I do want to add this, just some news, because it seems like they're just really tiptoeing around this and they're really hesitant to really come out and say, anything right now of what happened or, what their findings are. But Alec Baldwin has taken to social media here recently, and this since our last show. He's calling for police to monitor weapons safety on sets after his rush trade. So he's wanting to bring in the government to monitor movie sets now. So it says Alec Baldwin is taking social media calling for police presence on film sets after the accidental shooting on set of his film Rust killed Helena Hutchins. Baldwin called for gun safety on set, which they have priorities, they have steps already in place that work 99.99999% of the time already, but said police officers should be present when weapons are being used. How's a police officer going to add any additional security or knowledge to that? And I mean, we all know police officers too, and I wouldn't trust a good majority of the police officers with my own firearms. I know more about them than they do. So I just had to put that out there. And it's not every police officer. So I'm not wrapping every one of them in one solid little Easter egg there. There are a few that don't take it seriously. They do the very minimum. You guys aren't those people. Bill and I were just talking about his department and the training and everything they're gearing up to do right now for switchover. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it or not, in calibers.
I don't see why not.
Okay. So it's not every law enforcement officer, but bringing the government into this, that's the liberals' answer to everything. It's like we're not capable of handling things ourselves as citizens. We've got to bring the government in to help regulate this stuff. And because it's him and he's the one that did it, it seems to me, I mean, you look at all the posts and everything that he's doing everything he can to cover his ass right now, to take the heat off of him. He doesn't want to take responsibility for this at all.
No, and Marty, let's take what this sincere, self-righteous, hypocritical schmuck said, and let's play it through. Okay, now we get a government law enforcement officer, irrespective of what agency they come from or on set. Let's think this through in reality, not in fantasy land where he makes his money. In reality, you put a law enforcement officer on set, that particular show or movie is making money for the city or town that's hosting it. So do you really think if you put an officer on set and that officer attempted to intervene, the director or producers would not call his or her chief right away, or even the mayor, and complain that Officer Smith is disrupting the flow unnecessarily and delaying and causing them filming problems? You really think any law enforcement officer is going to be able to effectively contain the raging ego of a schmuck like Baldwin? You're going to be able to tell him, excuse me, Mr. Baldwin, you shouldn't be haphazardly pointing that weapon at human beings while you're on your set, getting into so-called character? How's that going to work? It's not going to work. It's not the answer. And it's all about bad, stupid behavior. It's not about guns. It's about idiots and morons in Hollywood who think they're exempt from Safety 101.
Well, again,
not all,
this is him trying to take...
Not all of them.
Yeah, this is him trying to take the heat off of him. It's not. He's not taking responsibility for this. It's not his fault. Everything that he's doing, everything that he's saying, have you once heard him take responsibility for this? That he's the one that pulled the trigger and he's the one that murdered the lady and injured the director? It's always somebody else, something else. You know, don't look at me. It's not my fault. Which is the most cowardly thing, you know, that he can do. And it's so obvious what he's doing right here. But that's the big headline now for this story right now, is that Alec Baldwin calls for police to monitor weapons safety on all sets, all movies. Completely ridiculous. So
instant remedy for his reckless. Why don't they get the president to issue another mandate? Maybe we'll mandate that as well. Why not? Because we solve everything by mandates.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But I really can't wait for, if the truth ever comes out, which I don't think it ever will, what actually really happened, how this happened, why there were live rounds on set, which there should never be live rounds on set. And
right.
And here's another question that I have, because I'm not familiar with the dummy rounds that they use in Hollywood, and I'm sure maybe they all use different ones depending on who their armorer is. But aren't those like specifically colored a certain way also? Distinctive?
Yes. They're different. I mean, you know, if I went to the bar and did 45 shots of tequila and got incredibly polluted, I could still tell the difference between a dummy round and a live round.
Yeah.
I mean, they're supposed to be marked, Marty. You're absolutely right. But if you look at one, and granted, I don't expect, you know, people to go through that extensive training. Well, I wouldn't require extensive training, but yeah, it's readily obvious.
Yeah.
And, you know, everyone's taught in basic firearms, you know, you don't mix live and training rounds. You just don't do it. But yeah, but you know what, Marty? Who knows if they were even marked? And obviously, I would say what percentage of people on set, including the armorer, knew the difference? And it's kind of like, what was it, John Belushi's GPA in Animal House? 0.0. So I don't even think it's an issue of marking them. It was just reckless commingling of ammo, and they probably didn't even know the difference.
Yeah, well, I think it was a mixture of a lot of different things that culminated to this point. You know, the armorer herself was only like 24 years old. Don't know what level experience that she had. Supposedly her dad was the top armor or whatever. I don't know. But definitely there's a lot of negligence that has happened that led to this. And it's probably not just one person either. It's probably a culmination of several people getting complacent, you know, just naturally assuming things like Alec, when he took the gun, he just naturally assumed he had a safe gun. Whereas if they put these actors, these movie stars, through the proper firearms training, you learn the 4 basic rules, you practice those on set as well, this wouldn't happen. Wouldn't have happened, even with a live round. You break one of those rules, you're still going to be safe.
Yeah. I think not to get into the weeds of this, but if I'm correct in following this wonderful story, he used a revolver.
Right,
And,
wheel gun.
Yeah, you're right. Exalt the old wheel gun. So to me, that it's even more obvious that they couldn't simply open it, just open up the cylinder and take a look-ski. 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. I mean, it seems like, okay, we get paranoid in the semi-auto world in terms of something is lodged in the beginning port from the port to the barrel. Okay, so we get a little nervous. We got to kind of do our look through there, make sure we see full daylight and all that. With the old wheel guns, it's a lot easier to confirm that the weapon is unloaded. So, and that's something where you can train anyone quickly to do. A little bit more involved in a semi-auto, not much, but a little bit more involved. But it makes it even that much more inexcusable, not being able to confirm the wheel gun is unloaded.
Yeah, and you guys can Google this, and you can see all kinds of different reports and articles about it. But again, whether the truth comes out or not, who's going to know? I mean, we that remains to be seen. I hope it does. Hope they figure out who the actual idiot was that allowed the live rounds on set. But it should have never got it. And a wheel gun's very easy. Like you said, you open it up and you visually can verify every round in that just like that. So no excuse for this. All right. Oh, even Dwayne, The Rock, he came out and made a statement about he's never going to use a real gun on set again. For The Rock, which they shouldn't be using real guns anyway. I don't understand.
I thought replicas have come a long way since back in the day.
Yeah. We had our friends from Leviathan on a few episodes back. We talked a little bit about kind of what they do and that they provide firearms to movie sets. And supposedly they just buy real guns, and then the movie sets are supposed to convert them to the dummy guns. I don't know. Anyway, so there's our Jackwagon again, specifically Alec Baldwin this time, because he is not owning up to this and he's not taking responsibility. He's trying to deflect everything away from him. So I hope the wrath of God falls upon Alec Baldwin. So we got another one. We got one more we want to do. And this is another one that came from John. And this has to do with the White House rolls out a strategy to reduce military veteran suicide, calling it a national security crisis. So he likes to solve things by calling them crises and pandemics. So, John, fill us in on this one.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is not all bad. I think what he and the administration are doing is they're hijacking a very important topic and exploiting it to grab guns. And what I mean is they're recognizing that the escalating number of suicides for our military personnel is out of control. It really is. And, as we become a little bit more enlightened, again, recognizing the profound impact of post-traumatic stress injuries, the level of care available has improved. So he has issued this declaration of coming forth with this very dynamic, forward-leaning, forward-thinking program to help reduce the number of suicides, to expand the level of care. But one of the key points in this very forward-leaning program is to very quickly, timely snatch firearms away from the impacted military personnel and or veteran to reduce the number of suicides. Now, I do understand that this is a highly contested topic and issue, and immediate access to a firearm can provide someone with the means to self-inflict. However, what they fail to understand is we take great pride in possessing our firearms. I mean, above and beyond the Second Amendment right, you've carried a firearm throughout your adult life, your career, your profession. That means a lot. It's not just a piece of hardware. It's a symbol. It's an American symbol of freedom, but it's also honor. It's something you carry to protect others. And to look upon that as a quick remedy to reduce suicide, let me put it this way. If you take a gun away from a madman, you still have a madman.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take madness away from a madman, then you have a chance at peace. It's the psychological component, not the physical hardware piece. If you take a firearm away from a veteran military law enforcement who is suicidal, has suicidal ideation, and you take away their firearm, I got to tell you something straight up. If they don't use a firearm and you take that away, they're going to slit their wrists, they're going to get in a car and drive into a wall or off a bridge, or they're going to OD. You're not eliminating the opportunity. So to think that's a clever solution, and they'll throw back at me and say, well, look at the number of suicides that are committed by self-inflicted fatal wounds with a firearm. Oh, okay. So that's basically the penicillin to eliminate suicide. Very, very clever. So I take issue. I really do want to hear more forward-leaning initiatives. I understand that there is something in the medical side where they can identify something in just examining the brain that might show an indication of some form of depression that they can proactively address. God bless the medical profession to come up with ways to proactively treat those who are hurting or impacted. But this immediate pseudo remedy of simply grabbing a firearm, crashing the morale of someone, and then really escalating their desire to kill themselves, that ain't too clever. And I would expect a little bit more from people who have the resources to really research this properly.
Very good. So it says the new strategy focuses on a number of key components, including improving lethal means safety in order to identify ways to ensure time and space between a person's in crisis and their access to lethal means, including firearms and medications, enhancing crisis care, increasing access to and delivery of effective care, addressing upstream risk and protective factors like preventing and addressing increased financial strain, lack of housing, food security and unemployment, and increasing research, coordination, and data sharing throughout the federal government. And that's the quote there. But that's exactly what they're talking about. And I think probably what they're going to do is they're going to make their treatment contingent on them giving up. So if they don't give up their firearms, then they're not going to get the treatment, are they?
Right. And what they're going to do is they're going to snatch guns, and then they're going to see a striking decrease of 13% less suicides, and they're going to attribute it to the guns, the firearms that they took away from veterans.
Well, they're going to have a decrease in suicide by firearms. Suicides aren't going to, because the people that are bound and determined to kill themselves are going to kill themselves. 1,000 different ways in which somebody can kill themselves. And if somebody's bound and determined, and like you said, the madness is there, firearm's not going to stop that. Again, a firearm, if they have one, it's another means. That's all it is. It's another means.
Yeah, and I mean, Marty, when I used the example, madness was more towards, in terms of the crimes, we have the active shooter scenarios, and they always scream, "Take the guns away." So when I was using the madness example, I'm not attributing that to our military and law enforcement personnel.
No. But I think everybody understands what you're saying. They've got issues. There's mental issues. Madness is.
Yeah, I know.
Again, everybody's so politically correct these days. It's bullshit. We know what you meant. So madness. Yeah. We know what you meant. It's not a derogatory term in the way that we're using it. So.
No. But what I'm saying is, it applies to active shooter situations where they immediately call for
taking away the gun.
Away of guns. Right. That's where the madness applies. For our folks, it's again different.
Yeah, absolutely. So very well said. So there's another jackwagon right there. So have we got some heroes, some people that are doing good stuff that we can counter this jackwagonery with? Bill, you got any heroes? Anybody you want to recognize as making a difference, doing some good in our society?
Just all the law enforcement officers trying to do what they can in these very difficult times, and those guys are staying on the job. Those men and women, God bless them. Good for you. Stay safe. Keep doing the Lord's work.
There you go. Well said. What about you, John?
Yeah, so, one jumps to mind that Marty and Brother Bill, you guys know quite well. So, Brother Tim Chard. Tim Chard, retired veteran, naval veteran, retired law enforcement officer, local and federal. He's one of my vice presidents on the foundation. He is battling courageously ALS. And what Tim's doing while battling ALS is he and his wife, Erin, are engaging with park services across the country in instances where law enforcement officer loses a child, tragically. They engage with the park service to have a tree planted in honor and memory of their child with a nice plaque, have it designated, and to set up a little memorial ceremony, again, to show the power of remembrance and honor for the horrible tragedy that no parent should experience. But Brother Tim, setting aside his own medical challenges, continues to step up and help the rank and file deal with their difficult situation. So raising a glass to Brother Tim Chard.
Amen.
Here to Tim. Absolutely. That's a great initiative that they've started there. So good on them. Is there a website or something that people can go, and are you familiar that can help with that program?
So, Marty, yeah, we're running it through the FLEOA Foundation. So it would still be the FLEOA, FLEOA Foundation.org. And if anyone makes a contribution, they can designate it for the tree planting program. And we'll make sure that their donation goes to that specifically.
Very cool. There you go, Lead Heads. So if you want to take part in that, check out the FLEOA Foundation and make those donations, definitely. I think that's two great heroes to end this segment on. So, Gunny, get that train out of here, and the ghost of Charlton Heston, fire up the Lead Force One, and we'll give Tim and all our law enforcement men and women a ride on Lead Force One.
Amen.
Very good. So, guys, we've got several interviews that we need to get into this episode. I know our lead heads are going to enjoy this. We're getting some updates on these companies on what they're offering, latest and greatest with this COVID stuff. We've missed a lot of shows, and these companies haven't had an opportunity to showcase what their latest and greatest is. We do a lot of interviews at NRA, at SHOT Show. Hopefully SHOT Show's coming up. And then Bill and I have got an event down in Georgia that we're going to be going to this week, so we'll probably be getting some additional information for you lead heads for the latest and greatest in firearms, suppressors, kit, gear, no telling what, maybe even whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
We tend to get into a little whiskey while we're down there also.
Yes, we do.
And we've got an amazing tour that we've got set up. Hopefully that works out. I don't want to jinx it, so if that happens, we'll talk about that on an upcoming episode as well. But until then, you guys enjoy these interviews, and we'll be back after them and sign off.
Law enforcement actions, even if fully justified, are going to be scrutinized with 20/20 hindsight. When you, as a federal law enforcement officer, face a life-altering event, you want both the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association and Feds Protection in your corner when it matters most. Feds Protection is in the unique position of protecting federal agents and officers from financial hardship with professional liability insurance. Regardless of how well you think you do your job every day, you are not immune to allegations of wrongdoing or lawsuits alleging a constitutional tort arising out of a job action. The cost is partially reimbursed by the agency for law enforcement officers. So for less than $1 a day, you simply can't afford not to have this protection. Enrollment takes just 5 minutes. Call 866-955-FEDS or visit www.fedsprotection.com.
Everything else is going to be new, right? And then everything, it just keeps rolling. I mean, it's like when you go buy a car, they say they upsell you so much on accessories and insurance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where they make their money. They don't make as much money on the vehicle sale.
I don't see how they can't make money as much as vehicles cost. It's just,
you would think so.
They got to be making something.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, all that money on the accessories that they're selling goes directly to them. Where the car sales, I guess the car companies get a cut of it, and they only
yeah.
get
I mean, they're probably taking
percent.
what 70%,
Yeah.
and then the dealer gets.
I don't know. I've never sold cars. So.
Me neither.
Hey, if we got any car salesmen out there listening to the show, this is Car Talk coming to you from the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association 2021 convention.
How many of you have that 71 Pinto you want to get rid of?
Or is it squeaking and you need help fixing those squeaky brakes?
That's right.
We're
here.
We're here for you. Call in 1-800-244. We can fix your car.
Auto.
Auto. You remember that call-in show? There was like a radio show. These two dudes, and they were like
something
from
garage,
Massachusetts
right?
or something like that. Yeah, they're two brothers. They were hilarious.
Yeah, they were super funny. Something garage or
I can't remember what
something
it was.
like that.
Yeah. So sitting with me, that voice that you hear, very familiar voice. If you can't pinpoint it, I'll give you some hints. I guess last time we talked to you was it SHOT Show? Was that the last time we had you on?
Yeah, I think so.
The SHOT Show. They sponsored us, or he sponsored us. He's no longer with that company now. He's with a new knife company.
That's right.
It's our good buddy Brooksy, Chris Brooks. Welcome in, Chris.
Thank you. How y'all doing?
So we are we're in Providence, Rhode Island.
Yes, sir.
And we are at the 2021, like I just said earlier, the FLEOA National Conference. They're biennial. They have it every 2 years, right?
That's right.
So every 2 years, then they have this thing.
Yeah.
It's called biennial. Not biannual. Biennially. But Chris and I have talked several times in between his transition. And
that sounds bad.
Right?
I did not transition.
You transitioned. What did you do?
To a new knife company.
To a new knife? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
In today's world.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Since your transition,
right.
That does not sound right anymore.
Yeah, that is true. From moving from one company to the other.
Correct.
We'll say it that way.
Better.
With Toor Knives.
Toor Knives.
Toor Knives. It's not spelled T-O-U-R. It's T-O-O-R.
Yep.
And that's the founder's last name. It's a family name. So we were talking about that off air and how it's mispronounced. I was calling it Toor.
Toor. Yeah.
Oh, just Toor. I was like,
Toor.
Because I'm from the South.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, you're from the South, so you're going to pronounce anything incorrectly.
Yeah, it's going to be wrong no matter how I say it.
That's right.
So tell us about Toor Knives, man.
Yeah, a super cool company. They're based out of El Cajon, kind of the San Diego area. Family-owned company. Connor Toor is the owner, and he essentially started in the garage, just like everybody else does.
Yeah.
And it's 100% made in the U.S. We make our own sheaths, screws, all the fasteners, everything that has to do with the knife. We actually, we make and assemble ourselves.
You acquire in the United States.
No, we make it.
You make it.
Yeah.
From scratch.
From scratch.
You get the metal in, and
we do.
You do it.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's how long have they been in?
About 6 years.
6 years, so fairly new.
Fairly new for a knife brand. Pretty
so
new.
I know a lot of our listeners, our lead heads, are knife aficionados, and this will probably be right up their alley.
Yeah.
I've seen the knives. You've got some here.
That's right.
On display. Very high quality, I'll say. I mean, it's one of those things where when you feel something, it's quality.
Right.
When you touch it.
Yep.
When you see them online, you're like, yeah, those are really nice knives. But then in person, in the hand, I mean, they're just really, really, really solid. Talk about their process. Say, I've been watching Forged in Fire.
Okay.
So I'm Forged in Fire knifeicated.
Right, yeah.
Still legicated, I'm knifeicated. So I got all my education on knives from Forged in Fire. So relate to your knives in Forged in Fire talk so I can understand.
So think opposite of Forged in Fire. Yeah, so it's all the steel comes in, we cut it. We'll put it on CNC, we'll put it on water jet. So the water jet will actually cut the outside perimeter of the knife. So the shape.
You're cutting it with water.
Water.
That's some high
pressure water.
Oh my God! You don't want to take a shower in that.
No, it's amazing.
Oh my gosh,
it's amazing. Yeah, to be able to cut through steel is pretty impressive.
With water.
With water.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's what we'll cut our shapes out of. We'll use the mills as well, so the CNCs.
Because some of those knives are pretty thick.
They are thick, so we're generally right in that 3/16th, of an inch thickness on the fixed blades. A few of them go, like, obviously the axes get a little thicker.
Yeah.
But they're pretty. Those are pretty hefty knives. So there's
like I said, I mean, you feel the quality, you feel the weight. But it's not like a.
No, it's not going to ruin your day, if you're trying to pack it on your vest or.
No. I mean, you've got different sizes, and we're going to talk about those. But I was just curious as far as the manufacturing process, how they go through, and they.
Yeah, so we have all we have all the equipment that we need. The only thing that we don't do in house is the heat treat. So we do everything else, all the coating. We create all of our fixtures on screw machines, etc. So the whole process is right there.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. There's nothing that we don't need to worry about, this crisis that's going on with getting
stuff stuck
into the United States.
Stuff stuck at port.
Yeah. So we don't have to worry about that.
That's like the excuse now that everybody, it's stuck at port. Yeah.
That is the excuse. I mean, if you watch CNN, you just be like, this is unbelievable. What is China doing to us?
Yeah. But it's not like it's the West Coast. It's not like we don't have an East Coast.
Right.
Why don't those ships come over here?
They are. They're on the East Coast, but they're just sitting out in the water.
Well, I mean the West Coast. I thought they were on the West Coast. Are they on the East Coast?
Both. You should see it. It is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. So
I heard the Florida guy's going to.
Yeah. Governor DeSantis said, hey, bring your ships in. We're going to
come to
our
Florida.
Ports are open. We got plenty of employees to offload your gear. Come on in. We're good.
I wonder if anybody's taking him up on that.
I hope so.
I do too.
Man, that's a good dude right there.
I mean, there's going to be a backup to get into Florida.
There will be a backup, but at least those ships are going to get into port.
Something's going to get into port.
Yeah.
It's not sitting there rotting or decaying or whatever. Taking a little water break there. We just had a delicious lunch.
Yeah. Man, they're treating us well, aren't they?
At the FLEOA conference here. So let's talk about the knives. So let's talk about where you were before. They kind of had categories and things like that. What type categories does Toor have?
So the main focus right now is tactical and law enforcement.
Okay.
So it's if you looked at probably 90% of the product, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Then they do have a fillet knife, so there is a category for
outdoors.
fishing.
Yeah.
Or if that's how you render your muscle groups for big game.
Yeah.
Which is the way I do it, then it's perfect for that. But then there's EDC. So we've got some boulders. We have some smaller fixed knives and a few tools. You've got Thor's hammer, right?
I do.
Thor's
it's in the
hammer
room.
is pretty cool. Punch holes in things.
I didn't want to risk somebody taking it.
Yeah.
But it's a push knife.
Right.
Pretty cool. Very comfortable. Minimal.
Very minimal. You would think it would be much bigger when you see it online.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be.
But it is small.
Yeah.
So,
but it's perfect conceal.
Yeah.
Nice little tool. Definitely. But you guys check them out at their website is
toorknives.com. Toor.
And the Instagram, same thing.
Same.
At Toor,
all the same.
Toor knives.com. Now, and they're based out of San Diego, is that right?
Correct.
Is that where he's from originally?
Yep, that's where they're from.
Yeah. And he started this in his garage, huh?
Yeah.
Just with his water hose? How do you get that pressure
up,
I
don't know. I haven't asked him how he did that, but he's probably not out there with this little garden hose, is he?
A garden hose with filtering it down smaller to get that laser.
Yeah. No, it's pretty impressive what they've done in such a quick time. It's growing pretty rapidly. Now more and more people that I talk to, they're like, yeah, I have heard of Toor knives. Where, like, I didn't even know about Toor knives probably 2 years ago.
Yeah,
like at all.
Well,
anything about.
Like you said, they've only been around 6 years, so
yeah.
I mean, fairly new to the scene, the game. But you lead heads, go check them out. Go check out their website. Go check out their Instagram. Follow them, and we're going to talk more about some of your knives. Talk about you've got a new axe coming out. We were talking about the axes, and that's kind of outdoorsy.
It is.
But it's got a tactical look to it, definitely. But
it does have a tactical look to it. I would call it more as like a thrower.
Yeah.
you know, you're just going to go have fun with it. You're not going to go to work with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the.
But
blocker.
it could. I mean, it looks like it's very durable, sturdy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean that's thick material. There is a hole cut out in the head, to
lighten it
take
up.
care of some weight. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But the Brocker it's new.
It looks like it'd be a perfect pack axe.
You could pack it. Yeah, you can do anything with it, really. I mean, you could use it for point of entry. You could use it for, throwing.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. Yeah, work with it. Have fun with
Multi-purpose.
it. Right.
Multi-purpose.
Yeah, it's pretty good size.
Yeah. So what else they got new on the horizon coming out that you can talk about?
There's going to be some attention put on more EDC.
Okay.
And those are some designs that we're working on.
More folders or
currently.
fixed blades?
Yeah, folders. We have some folders now. We don't have them at the show right now because they're essentially built and sold.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else. It's, keeping inventory is pretty tough.
Sure.
But, yeah, one of the biggest focuses will be on the EDC side of things. So we'll create a few EDC folders at the, probably first quarter, second quarter time period.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and of course, a few more tools and some other product that will be coming out that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like what? Like what?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to keep your eyes open. I mean,
okay. Follow the social medias.
Yeah,
and listen here on Talking Lead because I'm sure you'll hit us when the new stuff comes out.
Yeah,
so
and our team is super cool, and we have a good group of folks that run our social media and marketing side of things. So they do really well with that. So as soon as something is ready, it will be out.
All right. So talk about how they back up their products. What kind of a warranty, guarantee?
Yeah, lifetime warranty. I mean, it's seriously, it's a good product. If you actually break something and you're not misusing it, I would be fairly surprised.
Yeah.
Of course, you'll dull a knife, pretty quickly if you're using it a lot. But
sure.
If you actually break it, you're probably either doing something super serious or something maybe super dumb.
Well, else on some of those, I mean, they've got some super fine tips on some of those.
Yeah, it gets down, the Tonto blades, the design of the Tonto tip is pretty tough to break. That's why it's designed that way. But the drop points, you could, you can mess up a drop point pretty good if you're really trying to.
And then what type of materials are you guys using for the handles?
We're using G10 for most.
That seems pretty standard go-to material.
Yeah, it's
hard to mess up
People
G10.
seem to like the G10. We do wrap some of the knives in paracord.
Yeah.
Which you've seen, and then
you had some here.
Yeah,
they were nice.
So we use a couple of different materials for the handles, that are just popular. So micarta is the other one that people ask for.
Again, stuff I learned on Forged in Fire.
Yeah, yeah.
The G10, the micarta, they seem to always go towards those for the handles.
They're good go-tos.
Yeah,
yeah. And then we use the good steels too. So the
are
S35
you pinning those in?
Yeah. So those will be most of the time they're screwed in because we realize that a lot of folks like to take things apart and clean it, or just take care of their knife. But so between the screws and the rivets, I'm not personally a big fan of rivets, so we don't really do that much. But the screws, so you can get in and clean stuff out. Of course,
I like that option, and then also if you want to change out the handles.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people like to make their own handles.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
But that's good. That's understandable.
Well, I'm excited for you, for one.
Yeah.
I'm glad you landed a good place. Sounds like you said, a good family, a good group of people to be associated with.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Even though they're out in San Diego. I mean,
they are in San Diego, which, it's
we need more representation like that out there,
Right.
Because people can't just move away.
I know.
Run from it.
But it's a beautiful area, and they're a big group of surfing folks.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they totally dig surfing, and so part of the deal is they're going to have to teach me how to surf.
Do they dive also? Are they into diving?
We haven't spoken about diving, but I'm a diver, so if they're not,
I am too.
Then hey,
I say
we'll teach them how to dive.
and get a dive knife.
Right.
Design a dive knife.
That
Maybe we'll call that one the root.
that might be in the works.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Could be in the mail.
Right.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I dig it. Well, Brooksy, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to get you guys back on. Hopefully, maybe we get the owner on and do a little background interview with him and get a little more detail about his company, how he got started. I think that'd
be good.
That'd be a great, interesting story.
Yeah, I know that we'd love to have you down, and if you
I would love to see the water cut steel. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, it's you got to see it.
You'll see it to believe it. Now, is it one of those open CNC machines where you can see the work being done?
So it's like a great big table.
Yeah,
and it's got a bath full of water, and then you stick your steel on this
conveyor belt
like a
kind
bed.
of thing. Yeah,
like a bed, and then the water jet just passes over the top. It's super cool.
And
it's
it like a laser?
It looks like a laser, but it's not.
Are you getting splash from the water when it comes out?
It splashes, but it's not like it's going to splash all over you if you're standing next to it.
Yeah.
It's
so
impressive.
There's nothing in the water that you mix in with. You don't mix shards of metal or something. It's just pure water.
Pure water.
That's cut in metal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because you got to neck that valve down pretty tight.
That's what I'm saying.
If you had anything
to get that kind of high pressure.
Yeah, if you had anything like grit or something foreign, you probably jack up those jets.
Clog it up. Interesting. Yeah.
Got to come down and see it.
Let's do that. We'll do the show from there. I'll do a video, show everybody what it looks like.
Yeah, you can go out and throw.
And my listeners are probably like, "Dude, that's not uncommon. It's like a common thing, you idiot."
Yeah.
But I've never heard of that before. So
yeah, shoot.
Who else does that? What other manufacturing process?
Kershaw does that.
With another knife company.
Yeah, they do that. A lot of.
So you got a name? So it's hydro cutting or something that basic?
Water jet.
Just water jet. Okay.
Yeah, that's the process. Then there's the brand name of the machines.
Sure.
But so a lot of I got introduced to water jetting probably.
It's like waterboarding.
Yeah. Like in late 1980s, I think.
In the 80s. Okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe a little past that. Maybe early 1990.
Yeah.
Right in there. So. I used to work for I had my own company that we produced yardage books and scorecards for the golf industry.
Okay.
And so the yardage markers, on the tee boxes, you walk up to, excuse me, those were water jetted. So they're cut in stone with the water jet. And they can engrave it.
Carving into, okay.
Yeah, so they can cut the parameter, and then they can actually engrave it that way too. So
wow.
It was pretty impressive.
That's
how I got introduced to water jetting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got to see it.
Yeah.
I have to see it.
Right.
All right, Brooksy, thank you so much for being on. We got to move on to the next interview here.
Of course.
But
appreciate it.
Again, Toor Knives, Toor. Their website, toorknives.com, and then @Toor Knives on Instagram, Facebook.
Yep.
All
of it.
And are your knives in retailers?
Yeah.
Or do they just go to your website?
Yeah, you can do both. You can order online through the website or, any of the knife centers and blade HQs, et cetera, or check the dealer site on the website, and it'll show you your closest dealer.
Cool.
So if you live in Tennessee, you can check it out and see what the
So there's somebody there that... Have you talked to Royal Range yet?
Not yet. That's probably next week when I get back.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
We'll do a call with Art.
Definitely.
All right, lead heads, we're going to bring you more from the 2021 FLEOA, that's the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, 2021 convention. So this is your first podcast.
Dude, this is number one.
You've never done a podcast before.
I've listened for years. I've never had the opportunity.
Okay.
So,
well,
man.
So you've heard how it's done.
I've seen how it's done. I've heard it.
Yeah,
man, it's awesome.
But we're gonna do some live stuff.
Live is cool.
You and I, we're gonna get on the social medias.
I like it.
We're gonna do a little live. We're gonna talk about some of Daniel's defenses latest and greatest products.
I like it.
I've got Jake Winglass joining us today, Leadheads. We're at the FLEOA, the 2021 FLEOA, Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association. It's a mouthful.
Warwick, Rhode Island.
Convention in Warwick, Rhode
Yeah, seriously, right? Yeah.
Warwick, Rhode Island. Try
That's a
saying that
mouthful.
fast.
Yeah,
Holy
seriously,
crap,
right?
man.
Yeah, brother.
Brought to you by Feds Protection, providing the federal employees with all the great protection that they need. We're going to have them on here soon. And also brought to you by FLEOA, making this possible for you Leadheads.
There it is.
Jake, tell us about yourself. Tell the lead. Introduce yourself to the podcasting world, Jake.
Well, hey guys. Thanks for having me on today, man.
Absolutely.
Let's see. I started in tactical business probably 6 years ago, and started with a small 8A company. Started selling weapons, body armor, gear, you name it, federal law enforcement across the board. Did that really well for 3 years. Came over to Daniel Defense, and I've been here for 3 years now.
Okay.
So I run the full federal sales, coast to coast. If it's
That's a pretty big responsibility in just 3 short years.
Yeah, it sure is, man. So
At the DD.
Yep.
The double D.
The double D, man. So great company to work for, really. Yeah, it's super family orientated.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah,
yeah.
I've heard some really good stories about working for Marty.
No, and Marty,
Which happens to be my name also.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So
Oh, hell. Look who's coming.
who we got?
We can't talk guns without Bill Doe Teabaggers
Yeah,
coming
that's
and
the
joining
truth.
us.
You gonna pull up a chair or what?
Oh no, I'm gonna change out of this. I'm getting the hell out of my.
Turn it on.
Shit. I'm getting the hell out of this suit.
You got your monkey suit on?
Yeah.
So you're done with the monkey
I'm
suit
done with
today.
the monkey suit until tomorrow. So, dude,
Good man.
Yeah.
So real quick, tell our listeners what you were doing today, Bill. This is
Wrangling.
Bill with FLEOA. Everybody knows Bill. He's
Wrangling all the vendors together, or what?
no. Why you had to get dressed? Were you talking? Were you giving a speech?
No, I had to have my picture taken.
Oh, so just for a picture.
Just for a photo.
You got your
Just
monkey
for a
suit on
photo.
for a
Yeah.
photo.
Yep. Oh well, it's all good. Part of the role, right?
And then you're going to have to redress back up tomorrow
right for the awards banquet.
for the awards banquet.
Yep.
Same suit, or are you going with the?
Same suit. I only brought one. I didn't expect this. So I'm going to be wearing the same tie and everything. So. Woo. All right, I'm getting the hell out of this. I'll be back in a minute, boys.
Cool.
More from Bill to come. So we're back to Jake with Daniel Defense.
Yeah, man.
See how podcasts go? I mean, they're just
It's
flying
in
by the
and
seat of your
out.
pants. Man.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to
I
happen.
love it. I love it. Yeah, so I do all the federal sales. You name it, agency guys. A lot of them contact us directly. We have some great distributors out there that we do contracts through, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I teach our mobile armors course, so if there's an agency who buys into Daniel Defense guns, we like to give them a little aftercare.
Yeah.
So I travel to wherever
Yeah.
across, teach
Doing
that
some training?
Yeah, exactly.
Very
It's-
nice.
Yeah, man.
That sounds like a fun job, man.
A lot of travel.
You need an assistant?
I
You
would-
got one, right?
I mean, hey,
I met her.
Yeah, so
Keeping it in the family. I like that.
man.
And why is she not joining us right now?
Well, she's man in the booth.
Your better half.
She is.
Okay.
No,
Well, they're on break now, so
that's true.
she could have come in and joined us. But you did bring some other things here that we're going to talk about. So we got
Absolutely.
got some goodies. So some of the newest things from Daniel Defense. Now, what we're going to talk about, is this strictly law enforcement, or are these going to also be available to the general public?
No, see, it's a great question.
Yeah.
We don't see a difference between law enforcement and the general public. And it's basically, if you want to own a Mark 18, Delta 5 Pro, whatever it is, we should be offering the civilian market exactly what we're doing to federal law
If you want
enforcement.
that and you got the money to pay for it, then
Exactly.
you're legal to have it, then yeah.
If we could
Have
repeal
at.
the NFA, man, we'd love
Oh,
to put
right on, man.
machine guns in people's hands. Why not? So,
Yeah.
But today here,
Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah, exactly. Right. number one on iTunes. Right. So, but no, we have the Delta 5 Pro here in 6.5 Creedmoor. It's a pretty relatively new gun for us. It is an upgrade from our original Delta 5 that we dropped a few years back, and now it's in our own chassis system that we do in-house. And so with that, this is a really cool gun.
It is, and we're talking about a bolt action gun here.
Absolutely.
Lead heads.
It is a tank. It has a super heavy Palma barrel on it, so this thing is going to last for a long time. It has a Lug Bolt system. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Listen, which is nice.
Super smooth.
60-degree throws, so it's not a traditional 90, so you can get that follow-up shot a little bit better.
Very smooth. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is not just a gun that, hey, we're going to put this bolt gun out and that's going to be it. We're actually developing some new rails for it. So you'll have a little bit of customized options for yourself.
Accessories and things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys, pig hunting, whatever it is, they say, hey, man, we want to attach a thermal. So we have a new rail coming out, which is a Picatinny all the way over the top. So you can put a thermal there and, go do some.
Now, are you looking at making it lighter, the handguard lighter, as you're adding these additional real estate to it for the accessories?
It'll be a little bit shorter of a handrail.
Okay.
But it'll probably be roughly in the same weight class. So
Gotcha.
This is a gun that you're going to want to, it's going to want to live in a tripod or on a bipod. I've had some good times with this gun, man. It's killed
it's a beauty. Yeah.
It has definitely killed a few pigs in Texas. So.
And that trigger, we were talking about the trigger. It's got a specially tuned Timney trigger in it.
Absolutely. And that's probably one of the most enjoyable things about the gun.
Let's hear the click.
Let's hear it. All right, here we go. And nice, slow, steady squeeze.
Boom.
Nice and crisp.
Nice.
Can't go wrong at all, man.
There's no bounce to it whatsoever.
Exactly. Comes with an Area 419 Hellfire brake standard, which is awesome. It just fits, man. It really does. It looks the class, and it's fun to shoot. It really is.
It looks like it. Very nice.
I wish we had a range day here, Marty.
Right?
Yeah, wouldn't that be fun?
We probably should talk to them about that.
We should, man.
Or you're going to be at some range day, I'm sure, coming up soon.
Absolutely.
This isn't the only event you do.
Oh, that is the truth, man.
Traveling around quite a bit.
We'll be at SHOT Show, and so we do a private range day there. So you're more than welcome to come out.
Well, I appreciate that. I know our lead heads would love the coverage of that. So.
Absolutely, man.
So this is not only your first time being on any podcast, but this is the first time we've had Daniel Defense on Talking Lead.
Hey, man, how about that?
So this is an honor.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to get you guys on and talk to you about your products. I'd love to get Marty on sometime and just talk about
Marty and Marty. Why not?
Right, the Marty Show.
Let's do it.
And talk about how he started the company and a
yeah.
little bit about him. If he's down with that, would love to do that.
He's a cool guy, man. He is just a good old Georgia boy. And Daniel Defense started basically in his garage. He was a garage door company.
Yeah.
Daniel Overhead Door. And
a garage door company.
How about that, right?
Wow.
And
okay.
So he wasn't too good at golf. And so he was like super into shooting. Had a Colt SP1. And he was like, dude, I need a flat top upper for this thing.
Yeah.
So instead of going out and buying one, he designed one. He found a guy to buy in to it. And the guy said, hey, man, I'm not going to make you just, 4 rails for your guns. Let's do 100. It's worth your time. It's worth mine. So he buys into it, and all of a sudden, everything starts clicking upstairs. He's like, hey, maybe there's a business here.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, he starts working on rail systems, and, eventually the RIS-2 rail for the Mark 18 was born.
Yeah.
Which is totally cool, man. So the company basically started with the roots of Marty Daniel and
in a garage making garage doors.
Yeah, exactly.
That is amazing.
Isn't it pretty cool?
So we had Chris Brooks on with Toor knives, and he was talking about how Toor knives got started, and it was in the garage. This guy's garage.
Sure.
With an idea of how he could make something better, better and
sure.
Yeah.
How cool is that, man? It's just American
It's
ingenuity.
America.
It really is, man. Hey, I think I can do something better, and it just shows the American dream.
Think about all the people who don't have garages, all the business they're missing out on.
Hey, seriously, right? Absolutely.
So when you buy a house, make sure it's got a garage so you can start the next American dream business there.
I love it, man.
That is awesome. So talk about the other things we've got here. So what are we looking at here?
So sitting here with a full auto Mark 18. This is as I'm sure your listeners know, if they're into DD products, this is one of our flagship models. RIS2 rail is just a bomb-proof system. It's got 6 points of attachment with the bolt-up system here. If your listeners do have a grenade launcher hanging out at the house,
just lying around,
yeah, you can pull this bottom rail off and really have that cool-looking gun.
There you go.
So
have a shorty with a grenade launcher.
Everyone needs one.
Why not?
Why not, right? So
as soon as we repeal the NFA,
yep, there it is, man.
It's the Wild West, as they say.
I love it, man. So yeah, man, it's just a great gun. It's a 10-3 barrel, cold hammer forged. And it's about ready to get a new look to it here in the future.
Yeah.
Wish I could talk about it, but
you've got one here.
Well,
it's right there. I see it.
Yeah,
but we can't talk about it.
But in the future.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
so that'll give us an opportunity to have you back on the show.
I like it.
And talk about.
I love it.
Talk about the whatever it is that we can't talk about.
That's sitting right there.
That's sitting right there.
So
I can touch it already.
Yeah, I know, right? So, yeah, I mean, Mark 18 is just awesome.
So talk about how Daniel Defense designates their rifles.
Great question. A lot of the users are going to see if they go to the website, they'll see V7, V11, V9, and that's just basically Daniel Defense's way to give a nomenclature to this gun has a longer rail system, longer barrel, so a V7, V9, whatever it is. Just stands for version 7, version 9, etc.
Okay. So V is just version.
Basically.
So V18 is a version 18.
Well, Mark 18's got its own
Mark
name.
18, so Mark.
Yeah, the Mark 18's got its own cool nomenclature, which is kind of sweet, as well as the M4A1, which is the bigger brother to the Mark 18. It's a 14.5.
And when we're getting into the marks, are these full autos? Is that why they're...
No, absolutely not. So if the law enforcement, military, whatever it is, they would just get how that would come out of Daniel Defense. It would just be a custom gun built how they want.
To their specs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's going to need a full auto selector or full auto fire control group. And so, yeah, we do a lot of custom stuff.
Sure.
So, yeah. So,
which is why you're here at FLEOA, because you guys obviously service our law enforcement men and women.
Absolutely.
Provide them with awesome firearms.
Have to, man.
So what's this other one we got? Then this is the one that I was really digging.
Yeah.
Here, this is a Haas. This is a 308.
Yeah, sure is, man. This is the DD5 V3. So it's a 16-inch 308 gun. Our new DD5s, they come with the adjustable gas block, which is super nice for guys who are getting into, suppressed shooting and they less gas at the face, especially if you're a lefty.
Yeah.
Great gun. Very slim rail on this thing.
Slim profile. It doesn't look like a 308 at first glance, but when you pick it up, you're like, okay, yeah. Because that barrel is solid.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It's a little mini truck axle right there.
It definitely is.
So...
say hello to my little mule.
I love it, man.
So talk about what you guys. So this is a barrel nutless.
There it is. Yeah. So like on a traditional M4,
I mean, it's got nuts. Yeah. This gun's got nuts, but there's no barrel nut,
which is kind of cool because if you don't have a torque wrench at home, and if you're going to build a gun from scratch, that, hey, 55 foot-pound has got to be on that barrel nut. And, AR companies, that's usually how we do our thing. It's a proprietary barrel nut, proprietary wrench, whatever it is. So this guy, hey, there's none of that. It's all here on the DD5 bolt-up system. And
so the way the receiver, the barrel, and the handguard connect to one another.
Yes.
That's how you're able to get away with not having the barrel nut.
Yeah, so AR-10s, there's no real mil-spec standard for these things. So, Daniel Defense to other companies, it's all going to be different.
Yeah.
U.S. government really never bought into them. So that's why.
Why not do AR-15s that way?
Well, that's a good question. Because if we did an AR-15 this way, it would be a proprietary upper, I would imagine. Right?
Well, that's what that is.
It is. So
that's proprietary.
It sure is, yeah. So I wish.
So there's not.
There's really not.
For 308.
Yeah, for 308.
For 308. Okay.
You could put a Mark 18 upper on a different company's lower, and it would sing all day long.
Yeah.
This one,
the DD5 V3.
That's correct. So,
And that's a 7.62.
yes, sir.
I like it. And you said that you also do a Creedmoor in this, right?
We do, yeah. DD5V4. It's an 18-inch, and absolute banger gun.
So Bill is out of his monkey suit.
Damn, quick.
He's back. He's joining us.
I'm not joking around. Is it on?
That one's not as good as that one.
Here,
For some reason, that one's
pass
it's
this one
quiet. It's being a quiet mouse. Now you got to come over there because I got the short cord on that.
The short cord.
So that was a good segue out of talking about my train wreck that I was trying to fit one of your hand guards on my 308.
Hey,
so
you tried, man.
I tried. But we didn't talk about the bolt on this. So I want you to get into talking about and this is a proprietary bolt on this as well.
It is a very, very upgraded bolt carrier group. If you see a DD5 out there nowadays in the V3 configuration, you're going to see a DLC bolt carrier group on there, and which is really, I think, the future for bolt carrier groups across the industry, really.
Yeah.
This finish, you'll be able to
I want to hold it. I want to hold it.
Fine.
I want to touch it.
I see you grab it
props.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you see her there, if you have a microfiber cloth and you're on the range all day, you should pretty much be able to just pop that bad boy out, wipe it down, clean.
I've seen other companies that have similar type finishes on theirs. I think Anderson Arms brags about some
super finish type
some
deal.
super finish that I think it was them.
Okay.
But I've seen a couple of other companies that do that as well. I think Nordic may have something similar.
Really? Okay.
Can't remember. I'll have to look at mine. I got one at home.
Nice.
But yeah, so that makes it really easy to clean up.
Absolutely.
Without I just put a little bit of lube on there.
Little CLP. Go
Yeah,
to town.
little Seal 1.
Yeah, that's right.
Seal 1 CLP, and you're good to go. Sponsors of the Talking Lead podcast.
Love it. Love it. Hey, send me a bottle, man. Come on.
Okay, I'll hook you up.
Sounds good.
I will. Seriously.
I like it.
Yeah. I'll put you in touch with Dwight. So talk about the spring you got back here.
Yeah. So in the back,
on the back of it,
you'll see if you have one at home and you pull it out, you'll see a snap ring on the back. That's going to hold in a tungsten weight there, and you'd be able to pull that out, clean it if you ever needed to. You're probably never going to ever need to do that.
Yeah.
But it's going to really help follow-up shots, especially for our beloved pig hunters here in the United States who are going to town.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There he is.
Hell yeah.
Yup.
So if I take this weight out, can you put different weights in there for different weight cartridges?
That's a great question.
And would you want to do that?
I mean, I would not want to at that time.
Yeah. Because it's like in the springs, your
for the buffer springs.
Your buffer springs,
Yeah.
you can get different weights.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for those.
H1, H2, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I mean, you will ever really need to pull
Wouldn't
out that
need to
weight.
do that.
No. That thing's going to be good to go.
We'll talk about your buffer spring in this. And
Yeah, so the, if I pull this.
Real quick, I'm going to pop smoke again, but I just have to drop this in. Thanks for being here, dude. I really appreciate Daniel Defense being at this conference and
Dude,
all
thanks
the
for
other
having
vendors.
us, man.
No, it's kind of awesome that you're here.
Yeah, man.
And thank God you didn't follow through on Garrison's say hello to Bill for me.
Yeah. If Adam
Talk about Adam?
Garrison's-
Yeah, Garrison, yeah.
why is he not here? Adam, why are you not here?
Yeah, he had...
douche.
Exactly. Douche.
Yeah.
He had some conflict with the schedule. But anyway, appreciate you guys being
Absolutely,
here.
Bill.
It's just fantastic to meet you, and thank you for the support.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to go back in.
Okay.
Woohoo! Talk to you guys.
Have fun.
I will.
So we're at the butt of it now. So we're talking about the buffer spring weight here.
Yep. So it has a DD5 buffer in here. Pull that guy out. You can see that close. And as Marty's holding it in his hand, he can tell that I have been shooting this gun.
Oh yeah,
So-
it's got some nice smell to it. Mm-hmm. Smell that powder.
Yup.
Getting it on my hands a little bit. It's still clean. I mean, you keep it clean. It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's
not bad at all.
I shoot it a lot, that's for sure, man.
Yeah. So that additional weight, the reason you put that weight in there.
Yeah, felt
is-
recoil, really. So we know that 308's going to definitely be a mule kick a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's going to take that out a little bit. That spring's going to, the
Makes it
tungsten
more
weight-
level shooter.
Exactly. Hand repair, you should be able to follow up a second shot pretty well with
Because
that.
that is a substantial bolt carrier group right there.
Absolutely.
It's definitely got a little heft to it.
It's like a lightsaber.
A lightsaber.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is,
Yeah.
right? So
That's cool. You should call it the lightsaber.
now this is why we need to get Marty down to
No, you don't.
So
Most people tell me, no, that's stupid.
Yeah.
That's a stupid idea, Marty.
man, I ain't gonna say
Lightsaber's a knife.
yeah,
It's like
bro.
a sword.
But it's an absolutely
So this one is called the DD5 V3.
Yep.
Okay.
V3 is a 16-inch gun, so it's nothing
And
like
it's completely, proprietary. Yeah, top to bottom.
Top to bottom.
You're not going to be able to Frankenstein one of these together. You're going to have to
Yep.
just buy it from Daniel Defense like this. And anybody else doing anything like
Like our bolt-up system here.
the barrel netless system?
Not yet. Which is kind of a cool thing that we're holding on to, and definitely looking forward to keep developing this system here with new rails, etc. Definitely in the future. So,
Yeah, it's a good look. And all your rifles have always been the craftsmanship, the quality that goes into them.
It's super cool because when we get you down to headquarters, we'll watch these things being made, man.
Now, are you in Georgia?
No, so
Where's headquarters?
Headquarters is in Georgia. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's in Black Creek, Georgia.
Okay, because I'm just in Tennessee,
Yep.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
So
Not
is that
too far.
Is that around the Atlanta area, or what part of Georgia is that in?
So you'd fly into Hilton Head Airport.
Oh, okay.
It was right in Savannah.
Yeah.
And then about 20 minutes south to Black Creek.
Okay.
And you'd see our brand new manufacturing facility there.
Okay, that's where I'm going.
No, they're nice. There you
Range
go.
day they're going to have. It's in Fleming, Georgia.
Okay.
So I'm going to fly into the Savannah, like you said.
Yeah.
So
Carve out some time, man. We'll get you down to the
okay,
down to the plant.
that's going to be. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
First part of November.
Sounds good.
So yeah, maybe we could definitely double up on that. So people want to, obviously your website is DanielDefense.com.
Sure is.
Social medias at Daniel Defense.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we got a really good social media team. We just launched our apparel website, which is kind of cool.
Oh, okay.
So it's a Daniel Defense store. You can get to it from DanielDefense.com. Get a hoodie,
Hat, T-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
All the stuff.
All the stuff, man.
All the swag.
Yeah, man. And
All the fun swag.
the marketing team's doing a great job putting out some new stuff, some new content there, shirts, all that stuff. So
Cool.
Yeah,
Good
man.
deal. Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time, Jake.
Yeah, we
And
appreciate you,
You did a
Marty.
good job, man, for your first time.
Really?
It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate
I mean,
that.
you flowed like you were a pro, man.
Dang. All right, cool.
That was awesome. So, do you have your own personal social medias that people can follow you, or you want people to follow you?
So yeah, I mean, I'm on the Instagram world right now.
All right.
It's just the last Lithuanian.
We were talking about.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your last name? That was a
Yeah.
pretty funny story.
So you'll see. Last name is Winglass.
Yeah, I was like, what kind of name is Winglass?
Yeah, right.
Are you related to the Windex family?
Yes. Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. Yeah. We've been putting out blue juice for years. Right?
Blue juice.
Now my grandfather, he came over from Lithuania.
Yeah.
Real last name is Jackwagons, and he decided to try to normalize that a little bit. And so
With Winglass.
yeah, so he dropped the Z, added an S, and that's pretty much where we are today.
There you go.
Yeah,
So a
man.
made up last name.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, man, I don't even exist. So,
It's not even a real name. Where's my
Yeah.
family crest, man? Come
yeah,
on.
seriously, right? So,
But that's interesting. So your grandfather was first generation to come over here.
first gen, yeah. So
And-
I'm generation 3. So I still got a quarter flowing through my veins here, which is pretty sweet.
There you go.
And
now, was your grandmother also Lithuanian?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yep. So they immigrated to Springfield, Virginia, and basically he joined the Marine Corps, and he was in for a hell of a long time. He made it all the way to 3-star lieutenant general.
Oh wow.
Yeah, man. So he was in for a hot minute, and which is cool.
He's in for a long minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Is he still around?
He's still around. He's
Dude, I would love to get him on the show.
he's a hell of a guy.
I bet he's got some stories to tell.
Oh man, absolutely. He's down in Florida with his wife, and
Enjoying life. Huh?
seriously, man, he is. He's rolling around in the golf carts and drinking gin and tonics, and just as he
love
should,
it.
as he should, man.
Absolutely.
So,
That would be cool. Yeah. Let's talk. Let's try to get him on the show. I think that'd be a good time if he would do it.
I'm sure he would.
Get a 3-star general.
Oh yeah,
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he's a cool guy, man.
That would be awesome.
So
well, very good, Jake. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Marty.
Daniel Defense, check them out. Website danielfitz.com, and again, go show them the Lead Head Brigade love. Let them know that you heard about them here on the show. And if you got questions or anything like that, then just the first, what is it? First Lithuania?
The last Lithuania.
The last Lithuania.
Yeah, it was a playoff, The Last Mohicans.
Yeah.
It was a great movie.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man.
That's a long one, but
it is.
And for our listeners who don't know how to spell Lithuanian, how would you spell that?
Google it.
Google it. I love it. I love it. All right, lads, we got more coming from the 2021 FLEOA National Conference here in
Warwick, Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Of all places.
Brought to you by Feds Protection and FLEOA. All right, lead heads. We got our next interview here at the 2021 FLEOA National Conference in Warwick, Rhode Island. Say that fast. Say it.
Warwick, Rhode Island.
Say it 3 times fast.
Warwick, Rhode Island.
It's a tongue twister.
That's tough, especially this early in the afternoon.
Right before lunch, where our minds are like, what's for lunch?
What's for lunch?
Joining me now, we've got Thomas Kane with Inforce. And Thomas, you've never been on the show before, have you?
No, this is the first time.
I mean, we've met each other, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
I think it's closer to like 2. But
Did
it
we
feels
meet
like
here?
No.
You've never been to the FLEOA conference?
The only time I met you was in BDU.
Was it at the Big Daddy Unlimited?
Big Daddy Unlimited.
Okay, I thought we met prior to that.
Well, we just get along well, so it feels like we have a long history.
We're like lifetime buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And soon to be.
Yeah. We're going to be doing a little COD, a little Call of Duty. A fellow Call of Dutyer.
Yeah, but I suck. And
I do too.
So it's just fun.
We'll get along great.
Yep.
Nick will hate us, but we'll get along great. So Inforce, for you lead heads that aren't familiar with Inforce, I don't know why you wouldn't be. They're the tactical light company.
Yes, we are.
This is the one that I'm running on my G19 right now.
Nice.
Thanks to you.
Thank you.
Just now, 2 years ago, I guess, or a year and a half ago, when I got that.
Yep.
The battery's just now kind of petering out on it. So
you need to shoot more, though.
Well, what are you talking about? I shoot great. I shoot it all the time.
Well,
yes, but I do need to shoot more.
We have an upgrade for you, though, because we're looking at that was the APLC at that time. That's been discontinued, so we're working on the Wild One now.
And that's what we're going to talk about. So let's talk about the Wild One.
Sure. The Wild One is our new to the market compact light. It's 500 lumens, runs on a CR123. We shifted from polymer to just a 661 aluminum. I think the market was calling for something a little bit more durable, a little bit more heavy duty.
Yeah.
Not that we had any
brighter.
Yeah, brighter.
Brighter too.
We did add 500 lumens compared to the 200 lumens that we had before.
Yeah.
And then heat dissipation is good with your aluminum and your metals, so that because you're going up in
polymers.
Yeah, if you're going up in lumens, then you're going to have heat. That's just
a given.
You can't make it without
physics.
Yep. So we stayed with our similar paddles that are ambidextrous right out of the box. I did say that right.
You did say that right the first time.
A lot of people add that extra I in there, and it's
ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous. It's ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous.
Yep. So that being said, we have nice heat dissipation. We've gotten up into the 500 lumens, which we personally, as a company, feel as a good compact light lumen. There is.
Yeah. And how did you come across that decision? Because I've heard different light companies, talk about how they decide the lumens for a light that they're doing.
I think that the size. You want to be in a certain size point, and size does have an effect on how you can make that reflector and get that light and what power source that you're going to use. So with the CR123, the size that we wanted to be in, 500 was kind of that middle of the road lumen count that we were kind of shooting for.
Yeah. And I guess the research you put into that too is obviously that's a drain on the battery, the more lumens.
Exactly. You could have a light that's 600, 800, 1,000 lumens probably in that package with the right LED and chipset.
Yeah.
But it's going to last 3 minutes.
Right.
So there is a balance.
Yeah.
Power
so then you're
versus,
usually having to add another battery.
Yeah, and then now you're a bigger light, and now you're not a compact anymore.
Exactly.
And then we did do that in our secondary, more full-size light, where we went up to 1,000 lumens, 2 CR123s, like I said, 1,000 lumens, and we get about an hour and a half battery life out of that.
Okay.
So the trade-off is size versus output, and if you want a compact light, you can only go so big. But I think there's other companies out there, and to each their own, but we find that 500 is a nice middle of the road, not too bright, not too dull.
Yeah.
Compromise.
And typically these are going to be on handguns, so the distance that you're going to need that to comes into play. I mean, you're not going to be looking out typically to 100 yards or something like that.
No, yeah, it's close quarters.
It's going to be close
up.
CQB type stuff.
And I think the issue that I find in speaking to law enforcement is when it's too bright, you're shining off of windows.
You're
mirrors.
blinding yourself.
If you have a semi-gloss white wall, that's going to be very washed out, and it's going to give less benefit to the user.
Yeah.
By washing their pupils and making them shrink and blinding them. So again, I don't know where the ladder is that they're all trying to be. I don't know if it's a testosterone thing or but lumen seems like is the more is better.
Yeah.
And I don't think Inforce agrees with that. We like a nice good light at a little bit lower lumen.
I had a discussion with a company not too long ago, and we were talking about that very thing. It's like sometimes a light can be too bright. It can defeat the purpose.
It's detrimental to the user, and it defeats what you're trying to do in the first place, is gain a moment or two of disorientation of the of your target.
Yeah.
And give you the benefit or the advantage.
Yeah.
So
the new one is called
Wild 1 and Wild 2 are our newest lights. It stands for Weapon Integrated Light Device. We were running a patch that uses
awesome.
some imagery of some
famous
childhood
characters.
Yeah. Rhymes with the Greek god Zeus, if he was a doctor. And then it's a little play on words. They're limited, so when we give those out, it's kind of a nice thing because there's not many of them out there.
Yeah,
and we're trying to get a little more character in the Inforce culture and trying to have a little bit more fun.
There you go. It's all about.
We have the Wild 1 and the Wild 2. The Wild 1 uses one CR123, and the Wild 2.
And the one that I've got, it uses the smaller battery. It's not the CR123.
Yep, you have a APLC, and that ran off of the CR2.
Yeah.
What changed for us being in polymer, you have to make the walls a little thicker. There's some structural things that you have to kind of do to make something out of polymer not flex and change shape. With metal, it's a little bit more the integrity of that metal, so you can make thinner walls. You don't have to do as much. That way, we almost stayed in the same footprint, but we added a larger battery.
Yeah.
And if honestly, a lot of people see the new Wild 2 or Wild 1 and say, "Well, I have one of those." Well, they're not on the market, so I know exactly what they're talking about. They have the APLC.
Yeah, which is the one that I have. And I didn't realize that it was polymer. I don't guess.
The old one, the old one was polymer, and the new one is 6061.
Very cool. So you guys also do rifle lights.
We do. We have the WML and the WMLX. Both of those do a white light or white light in IR. If you're not familiar, our light has kind of a ramp that your thumb sits on that is very ergonomic. It's where your thumb kind of wants to be,
right.
And you can mount that top 12 o'clock or
it's got that nice slant that
so it
works into your thumb.
It's built in. It's almost like a built-in pressure pad.
Yeah,
it cuts out a lot of the.
Got one right here.
Yeah, he's got one right in his hand.
Yeah,
that's our WMLX. Runs on 2 CR123s, and lumen count is 800.
800
lumens.
Very nice.
And little hint, we're going to increase that a little bit because, like you said, 800 close up is great, somewhat indoors would be a little bright, but when we're outdoors, we want to reach out a little further. So we're going to try to get that up a couple more lumens and maybe cross that 1,000, 1,200 plane. No promises, but that's where we're thinking again.
Goals are good to have.
Goals are good.
You got to have goals looking to improve and make things better, and that's what you guys are doing.
And we have a nice system that, it's pretty much toolless. that you can change that out in a matter of seconds and get that to a different mounting system. And we like the fact that if you have a pressure pad, it's sort of user specific. It's to your style, where it is, where your placement is. And that's fine. I have no problems with that. I love running a pressure pad. This light just kind of takes that mess out of the equation. It makes it a little more simpler, maybe makes it a little more universal to many users. And if somebody grabs your system, they're going to be familiar with it, and it's going to be in a fairly univeal placement.
Yeah, it's all about the familiarity.
Yeah, try that 3 times
right. So we want to hear a little bit about you and your background. So what were you doing prior to Inforce?
Well, that's kind of funny because I was a school nurse.
A school nurse.
I'm an RN by trade, and I got into firearms and really liked it. So I started learning about trauma and trauma care, and I got certified in Massachusetts as they call it officer down rescue. And so working with police officers on how to treat themselves with tourniquets, different not blood clotting, but blood stopping products, and really getting our men and women in law enforcement up to speed that they can take care of themselves under those circumstances.
And how long did you do that?
Still doing it.
Still doing
it. Yeah, it's been like 3 or 4 years now.
Okay.
I was a trauma nurse, so it just seemed right that I understood the physiology and the physicality of trauma, and to take that with the firearms and kind of marry the two, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I like giving back to our men and women. They deserve everything and anything that we can do for them, especially now, with how they're being looked upon.
Yeah. In today's environment,
society.
It's more important than ever that we have individuals like you and organizations like FLEOA that really look after our law enforcement men and women.
Yep.
Definitely.
It was passionate to me. I also do government stuff, so I'm also very passionate to make sure that our men and women overseas and here as well have the right equipment, because sometimes they're not getting the support from their own entities. So we try to help them out as much as
now, what got you into the firearms?
I just really liked guns like every other kid. And little truth be told, I didn't think I could get an LTC in my state because I had gotten in trouble when I was a young man. So I put it off for such a long time. And when I finally applied, they said, that's not even on your record. So I was like, I could have started sooner.
Right.
But I love it. I love shooting. I like everything about it. I'm more of a practical shooter. It's defensive. I'm not really a target guy. I don't want to put a 223 up a fly's butthole at 100 yards. But
it's fun.
It is fun. Not for the fly.
Screw flies.
But I love working with people. I teach basic firearm safety through the NRA and stuff, which I don't put a lot of cred on that.
Sure.
They've gone kind of quite
But the fact that you go above and beyond that, outside of that mentality, I guess, of thinking and training, you pay for your own training and go to courses and take things too.
100%,
so
100%.
That that was something that I love to hear about you. You were telling me, you're telling us yesterday about this training. One of these training courses that you went to with, I think they were law enforcement or they might have been military.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that. Tell that story. That was hilarious.
I feel bad because I don't want to badmouth anybody. I think that
we'll leave names out of it.
Training for some officers is, they don't spend a lot of money on it, and sometimes they're limited to 2 qualifications a year.
Yeah.
So I have a big beard and I wear the right gear, and I'm lucky enough.
Beard brothers.
Yep, lucky enough to have access to good stuff, so I look kind of squared away, and I'm shooting and I'm hitting, and this poor gentleman was just struggling at hitting some targets, and so the instructor kind of used me as an example of how to shoot and good foundation or fundamentals. So the guy comes up to me, and I'm working as a school nurse at the time, and but I'm bearded and I'm tattooed and I'm got like a shemagh around my neck, and I just look like I just dropped in from somewhere,
Afghanistan.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes, "So what do you do for a living?" I go, I'm a school nurse. He goes, nah. He's got like a heavy Boston accent. He's like, nah, you got to be shitting me and whatnot. And he's just feeling bad about himself. And finally, he's like, after going back and forth, CIA, and I'm not saying I'm all that in a bag of chips, but I shoot better than the average Joe.
Right.
And so finally he says, you really a school nurse? And I go, yeah. And it is in my worst or best Boston accent. He goes, fuck me.
Fuck.
And he was so, dejected or rejected.
He was distraught over that. He was getting
and,
outshot by a nurse.
Male nurse, by the way, which just makes
male
that
nurse,
very,
it just rubs the
This
salt
is
in the
radio,
wound.
But I like giving back, and I like being able to have the freedoms to train the way I want and how I want, when I want, and then to try to give back that as a civilian, and especially on the medical side. I mean, it's a dangerous world out there, and these guys men and women are getting hurt, and I want them to be able to care for themselves so they can go back to their families.
Yeah,
it's plain and simple. That's my drive.
So what are you running? What's your handgun? What's your carry?
I run the SIG 320 with if I can do a shameless plug, with the Icarus hand grip. They do an aluminum billet hand grip that works really well with SIG's FCU, their firing control, which makes it great because it's removable, with a Delta Point Pro sitting on top. And my rifle is just a Frankenstein. It's an FN barrel with a Colt follower. And
when you built yourself?
I had it built just because I wanted everything to be very well done. There's,
right.
If you don't get the right gas coming through it, you can have hiccups. So I just had somebody do it. Right. It was a friend, but he's an armor and a shop owner.
Cool.
And, it's a simple gun. It's not fancy. There's nothing Gucci about my stuff. As a matter of fact, one day I had a brand new pistol on the range and I dropped it, and this guy was like, you go, what, dude?
Like, what,
you just dropped your gun, Well, fortunately, it wasn't one of those SIGs that when you drop it. But he's like, you scratched it. And I'm like,
I think they got past that. I'm not sure.
I don't think we can be friends. What are you worried about getting scratches on your gun? It's like an old pocket knife that you've had in your pocket for years.
Yeah, if you're afraid to get it dirty, then you're going to be afraid to use it.
We're not good. We're not good with each other,
So we don't need to talk anymore.
I took it apart and threw it down the range on gravel, and he was
purpose.
Horrified. Yeah, it's like,
like
dings are good. Scars, chicks dig scars.
That's why they make paint.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why Cerakote exists.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on, son. So what holster are you running?
Safari Lands.
You're in Safari
run
Land?
a lot of Safari Lands for outside the waistband.
A lot of people run Safari Lands. Yeah.
Well, it works well with our light. They have that. I don't know what they call it, but the basket. Where the light sits. Mm-hmm. It fits really well. And then I'm an A&R fan. They're out of New Hampshire.
Okay.
I like their stuff. And also Tennecore.
What's A&R doing?
A&R is a holster maker.
Polymer?
The Kydex.
The Kydex.
The Kydex. Yep. So, they were doing dump trays as well and business card holders, but he's gone.
Not as good as Mission First Tactical, sponsors of Talking
Nice. Nice.
We had some event made up for Mission First Tactical, the card holders, and we did some dump trays that's got FLEOA's logo on their Feds protection logo and Talking Lead's logo, and we got like the thin blue line and the American flag on there. So Mission First did a really good job on those. So.
They do good stuff.
Yeah, they do really good stuff in their lane. They're really good at their stuff.
Well, be good at what you're doing.
All right.
Sometimes I think companies get a little carried away and
get outside their expertise.
Now making jewelry and earrings, and go back to what you know and do it well.
I had another gentleman on. I'm not gonna say which company it was, but that's kind of what they realized, and they kind of scaled back on some of the things that they're manufacturing now.
There's that saying, master of none. There is more to that saying. It's actually much longer, and I can't quote it because I don't remember. But it's not just master of all or jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
There's more to it. It's a little bit deeper, but stay focused and do something really well and focus on that and make a good product.
There you go. Well, Thomas, it's been great having you on for your first interview. I would love to get Matt on. Maybe we'll do a live or something like that with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the website is
www.inforce-mil.com.
Okay, Inforce-mil. And what about your social medias?
I think we're Inforce 01.
Okay.
And we're not on Facebook right now.
Not on the Facebooks?
We don't do the Facebooks.
I don't blame you.
But we're Inforce 01 on Instagram.
All right, on the grams.
On the grams.
I was going to pull it up here real quick, but I'm not quick about it.
I think it's Inforce 01.
Just to verify. Instagram.
Instaface.
INFORCE.
Musical interlude.
That one right there?
That's the one. 01, right?
I think it's just one. Nope, it's 01. You're right. I don't have my glasses on.
Oh.
You got yours on.
Yeah, that's it.
There it is.
Yep.
And I'm following, so there you go.
Awesome.
200,000 followers, man. What don't you share some of those with me?
Okay.
Send some of your
All right.
your followers over to the Lead Head Brigade.
Well, they're not mine. They're just.
Oh yeah, that's the
they're
only
not
reason
here to
they have
see
them
me.
is because of you, brother. Going to those campgrounds and recruiting.
Yep, absolutely.
We'll have Thomas back on again another episode, and we'll talk about his camping. What's the word I'm looking for?
Experiences?
Not experiences, but your
Camp life?
Your camping. You're very. What's the word I'm looking for?
Campy?
Campy. He's campy.
I'm woodsy.
He's just woodsy. We'll talk about some of those
glam.
stories.
It's so funny. But yeah, I would love to be here again.
And our COD experience that we're gonna get on this weekend and do a little Halloween COD. So
It's gonna be a blast.
we're nerds. All right, Lead Heads, we'll be back with more from the 2021 FLEOA National Conference here in Rhode Island, presented by Feds Protection. All right, guys, we are back at the 2021 FLEOA Conference here in Warwick, Rhode Island. And joining me today is...
Kevin Speece.
There he is, Kevin Speece with Geissele Automatics. And we got some cool things that he's going to talk to you lead heads about. Some of this stuff is military, law enforcement specific, but as always, they try to make it available to the civilian market eventually. So, Kevin, welcome in. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How are you enjoying the conference so far?
Oh, it's been great. It's beautiful out.
Is this your first time in Rhode Island?
First time to Rhode Island.
Mine too.
Yeah.
So you're over in PA, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you're not too far away. I guess you still had to fly over here, right?
No, I took a car ride up.
Took a car. Did you take an Uber?
No.
Did you Uber it?
I drove it. Took about 4.5 hours, but no traffic, and it was a beautiful day.
That's not a bad drive at all. Yeah. Definitely. So we haven't really had much time to sightsee. I mean, this is a nice hotel. That's about all I've been able to see. But we did a live. So if you guys go to our Instagram live, we did a live with Kevin also, and so you can see some of the stuff that we're talking about. So go to the Instagram live and check some of this out. But let's verbally go through this for our audio listeners here. So you guys have a improved upper that you're offering. Let's talk about it. And it's the UGI?
URGI.
URGI,
Yep.
yeah.
So it stands for the Upper Receiver Group Improved.
There you go.
And this has actually been out of stock for quite a while, and we're just getting back on top of it and pumping these things back out. Yeah, it's a great offering. It has a lot of our parts that we do right in house.
Yeah.
From the Cold Hammer Forge barrel, we do in house the bolt carrier group, which is our REBCG.
Okay.
And the charging handle. And then
and you got some optional sights on this one, and I was telling you off air, I really like these sights that you guys have, these Geissele sights, because they're not as fat as some of the other ones, and then when they're down, they're very low profile, but they're easy to pop up and down too.
Right, and very durable. And one of the biggest things with those are the features that they have is that they actually lock in the up position.
Mm-hmm.
So
no movement whatsoever.
Right. So they quickly deploy to get up, and then once they're up, they're up. They're locked there. There's no movement. So if you bang them into the wall or whatever, they're going to stay up and not fail you when you need them.
Yeah. Like I said, there is no wiggle in those whatsoever. So they're awesome. And like I said, the easy up, easy down. You just do the spring tension release, I guess, to get them down.
Yes.
Yep. I'll figure it out. I was going the wrong way with it. There we go. Newbie.
Yeah, and these uppers are still coming with the Surefire SF4Ps, which are
the 4-prong. Yeah, seems to be everybody's favorite.
Very rare and kind of scarce to get.
Isn't everything these days?
Oh yeah,
everything's stuck in port, right?
Yep.
You ask where it is, it's in port. That's their excuse these days. Now your Super Duty rifle that you guys have. This was your introductory rifle back 3 years ago into the market, the AR market, and it's still going strong. So talk about maybe some of the newer things that's going on with this.
Yeah, absolutely. So biggest unique thing is everything, 98% of everything on this rifle we do in-house. From the upper, the lower, the barrels, the bolt carrier groups, even down to the takedown pins.
Triggers.
Yeah.
Now on these, there's something a little unique about your hand guard to the upper that you guys have implemented into this to get a little more secure lock when you're putting your optics and just to make a better fit. Let's talk about that.
Yes. So when we machine the uppers and the rails to these, we machine them together. And what we do is we actually make a cut on the top of the upper where the Picatinny rail section is, where there's a locking tab on the rail that, locks into it.
Kind of like a jigsaw puzzle.
Exactly. So
we haven't heard that before, have we?
So it keeps it from rotating.
Did I have deja vu?
Keeps it from rotating. Keeps everything zeroed. So if you're running any type of lights, lasers, IR devices, you don't have to worry about it shifting on you. And then
just a little extra level of security, and there's no wiggle. Keeps the wiggle out of it.
Exactly. Yep. And then on this one, on the rail, I actually have our plastic rail panel covers on it. So keeps getting a good grip on it.
Yeah.
Also
grippy.
Yeah. Also keeps it from heating up on your hand a little bit. So
very cool.
And then I don't know if you've seen. We also have our new.
I was going to ask you about the grips here. So you guys are doing grips now too, huh?
Yes. So that one's are more of a traditional A2 style angled grip, where we also are getting ready to come out with more vertical style grip.
Mm-hmm. I like it. It's very. It's not overly aggressive, but it's got the texture in there, and then it's got that little cutout up there for the palm, or your thumb and your forefinger where they meet up there.
Yeah, and on the back shape, there's sort of a little hump on it that actually fits your palm very well.
Yeah, I like that. It's pretty comfortable. Digging it. Yeah. So I guess you guys just sell the grips too. If people want to, do Frankenstein builds, they could.
Yes. Yeah. So that's one of the beautiful things with with doing everything in house. You could purchase the rifle completely assembled, or if you're doing, like you said, a Frankenstein build, and you just want to piece together and interchange parts, you could take whatever favorite parts you like of the rifle and then build it up.
However you
like it.
Yeah, that's what I love. I love building my own stuff. But when you get one like that's complete and you don't need to change anything on it. It's got everything you need right there on the Super Duty rifle. So Geissele.com. There's a Geissele Automatics.
Geissele.com.
So Geissele.com, and for those who can't spell it like I can, I'm looking at his shirt. It's Geissele.
There you go.
So unless they're a apparel company, jack that up.
Nope, that is correct.
And it's at
Geissele.com.
And then social media at Geissele Automatics or just Geissele?
I believe just Geissele.
Okay. And then, of course, their sister company, ALG.
Defense.com.
And then their knife company, which we were talking about a little bit off air. You guys are still doing the Abraham and Moses line of knives. You just haven't been able to focus much on them as with such a backlog that we've had. We had to kind of pool all the resources. You had to prioritize,
Yep.
It makes sense. But those are some nice knives.
And we're going to be getting back on that. We should be, over the backlog very shortly now, and then, refocusing back to ALG and also Abe and Mo.
Abe and Mo, that's it. Abe and Mo, I remember that. So anything that we can look forward to, maybe you can hint around to that's coming from Geissele. I don't know if it was this take or the first take that you guys are looking maybe getting into the AR-10 market, like a 308 or the 6.5 Creedmoor, something along those lines.
Yeah. So I don't know how much I can say without getting in trouble, but if you're looking on our social media and stuff like that, there's a lot of hints there.
Okay. All right. There you go. Enough said there. What about anything else? Anything maybe trigger-wise? I know you guys haven't really done anything new on the triggers, but...
No, not recently. The biggest thing was the Super 700 for the Remington 700 triggers. They've been very popular. Been getting really good feedback from those. and then also the newer triggers that come in the rifles. So these are kind of a unique trigger that we don't sell individually.
Oh, okay.
This is what we call our lightning bow trigger. So this one that's in here is a SSA trigger, but it's got this unique trigger bow for the lightning
like
bow.
that.
So that's only available right
it's
now.
like a hybrid between a flat and a curved. It's
right. And actually, it's almost like the AK triggers. So the AK triggers are actually.
I was going to say I love it. The ALG
Yeah.
AK triggers, and so do our listeners. And they've been fortunate enough because you guys donated some to the show, and that we've given them out to our listeners. So
yes,
they are very appreciative of you guys and support of the show over the years. So thank you so much for.
Thank you for
taking
your
care
support.
of the Lead Heads. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So Lead Heads, go check them out. Go to their social medias. Go to their website. Let them know how much you appreciate all the innovation and cool stuff that they're putting out, and the giveaways that they do for you Lead Heads. Maybe they'll do more in the future.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, we will be back with more from the 2021 FLEOA Conference here. It's the National Conference here in Warwick, Rhode Island, presented by Feds Protection.
All right, Lead Heads, I hope you enjoyed those interviews. We had a great time doing them at the 2021 National Conference there for the FLEOA, Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association in Rhode Island. And looking forward to the next one. And you guys do it like every 2 years, every year and a half, something like that. So
Correct.
I think I misspoke and said I went to the last 4 years, but it's the last 4 events that you had. So remind our listeners one more time, FLEOA, where they can go get the information, especially our federal law enforcement listeners. And then, of course, John, with the foundation, is that something that citizens can get involved with, or is that strictly just for federal law enforcement officers?
In terms of the help, it's primarily focused on providing immediate support for a federal officer killed in the line of duty, injured in the line of duty, or facing a severe medical challenge, or their immediate family. We are a no bureaucracy, no bullshit, get money quickly as a first responder to first responders, get them support, get them through, triage them through that first month or couple of months where they're all alone and struggling. And that's our primary focus. But again, we're also heavily involved in the Smash Stigma, Save Lives initiative for suicide prevention and awareness for not just law enforcement, the military, but for everyone. If you're any of your listeners, if you guys are hurting and you need help, find the help. It's there. Don't let anybody make you think you're any less because you need the help. So anybody can contribute to the FLEOA Foundation. It's a 501c3, which in fancy IRS speak means it's a charity, and your tax donation or your donations are tax deductible. So you can hit on that again through the FLEOA website on a link, or go directly to the FLEOA Foundation.org. Appreciate any and all support.
Very good. Bill?
Yes, sir. It was great to have you out there along. And thanks to Feds. Thank you, Tony and Brenda, for bringing you out. If any of y'all out there listening, you don't have professional liability insurance, I would strongly suggest it.
No sense why you wouldn't, as a federal employee or federal law enforcement officer, carry Feds protection. So you can get
Marty.
Yeah.
The add-on piece, and it should have occurred to me quicker, is for us retired folks and those who are well immersed in LEOSA, the Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act. They also offer a policy for retired officers as well who are carrying by virtue of LEOSA. So, and really, Brother Bill nailed it with the same sort of caveat about putting on your body armor. Take your body armor and your Feds protection. Don't leave home without it. But for the retiree folks out there, for officers, and I'm not sure what the limitations are in terms of who's eligible, but it's worth taking a look on their website, which is at fedprotection.com. But Take a look for your retired folks, because we definitely want to make sure we're protected as well if we're in a situation where we need to deploy our firearm. And we know how the news media treats us. We know how the local politicians treat us. So you can't go out there naked without having that form of protection from feds. Feds protection is critically important.
Absolutely.
Very well said. Very well said. So, lead heads, that does it for another episode of the Talking Lead podcast. Make sure you go and support all those companies that make this show possible, including Mission First Tactical. Go to their website, use the code LEADHEAD, get 20% off. Seal1.com, Seal1 CLP. Me and Bill were talking there a minute ago. He's got a couple of guns that have got a little rust on them just sitting there in his office. Need to get him a dehumidifier from lockdown, but also if you clean them with Seal 1, that's really going to go a long way in protecting your firearms against rust. You go to seal1.com, Leadhead, get 25% off. Nemo Arms. Nemo Arms has very high-quality firearms. They do rifles, they do pistols, they do shotguns, they even do cans, suppressors. And like I said, these aren't just your cheap, quick guns that they knock out. These are really high-quality firearms, worth the price, worth every penny of it. But they're going to save you some pennies. Use the code TL10. You're going to get 10% off. Firearms included. Anything on their website, 10% off at nemoarms.com. And then Factory 47 for our AK Corner apparel. Go to Factory 47, use the code LEADHEAD, get 10% off. The episode coming up after this one is our 11th episode of Season 3 of the Talking Lead AK Corner, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it. We've got a lot of competition shooters on that have been taking part in some of these AK-specific competitions throughout the nation, and we get those guys on, talk about their experiences, their kit, their gear, and the events themselves are like none other. If you've never been to an AK competition, they're events, and the turnout on them is great, and they treat everybody really well. Even the non-participants usually walk away with some very cool prizes at those events too. So that's coming the 15th. Make sure you check that out. Talking Lead AK Corner. That's our 11th episode of 12, so one away from our final episode of Season 3. And then Keltec, KeltecWeapons.com, and at Keltec on the social medias. They have, and that's one of the guns Bill and I were talking about. It's his Sub 2000. He has a Keltec Sub 2000 in 40 cal. He's got this Gen 2 40 cal. And Bill, how's that been running for you, buddy?
Oh, fantastic. I love that thing. You were right. Back in the day, Bill, get yourself a Keltec Sub 2000. Best gun you ever have. Yep.
Absolutely.
So props to you.
And I used to have a 40 cal. I had a 40 cal, and I put all the different aftermarket accessories on it. And I traded it for something. I can't remember what I traded it for, but I've got two 9mm. I've got a Gen 1 9, and I've got a Gen 2 9mm in the Sub 2000. And they have recently come out, if you haven't heard, they've got an integrally suppressed Sub 2000 now, 9mm, that you can get. One tax stamp. Still all the functionality where it folds. You can store it in your backpack. So even your dog agrees, Bill. Is that your dog?
They're both losing it right now.
Tell Kaiser to shut up.
Yeah, Coda's got the louder bark, but she's somebody's home. But
so Bill's getting robbed right now.
Well, it's a good time to use the Sub 2000, right?
Exactly. It's a great home defense gun. But check out everything Keltec has to offer with their bullpups, their shotguns, their pistols, and their swag. They've got some cool swag there at Keltec too. KeltecWeapons.com. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to be on, dogs included. So next time we have Bill on, we'll make sure the dogs are kenneled, and we'll have a quiet background. But until then, Leadheads, make sure you check out our website, www.talkinglead.com. Hit us up on the social medias. And as always, shoot me emails if you have questions, suggestions for topics, or just feedback in general. I love hearing from the Leadheads, talkinglead@gmail.com. And until then, as always, keep your loved ones close.
And your firearms closer. Lead strong, baby.